He made millions laugh, pioneered physical comedy, and mentored legends like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. Then, in one weekend, everything changed. In 1921, the highest-paid actor in Hollywood was arrested for murder. By 1922, his films were banned, his career destroyed. This is how a Labor Day party turned into Hollywood's first major scandal. The world of silent films needed someone different. While most actors relied on dramatic gestures and exaggerated faces, Roscoe Arbuckle brought something new: grace. At 300 pounds, he moved like a dancer, pulled off perfect backflips, and made audiences cry with laughter. He refused to mock his size for cheap laughs. Instead, he let his talent speak for itself. From unwanted child to Hollywood's highest-paid star, Roscoe's story seemed like a fairy tale. Until one party in San Francisco changed everything. Now, a century later, his name remains linked to Hollywood's first major scandal. A story of murder accusations, media rage, and a career destroyed overnight. But before we get to the scandal that ruined him, let's talk about how an abandoned kid who weighed 13 pounds at birth became the man who helped create modern comedy. Born in Kansas in 1887, Roscoe's life started rough. His father hated him so much he named him after a politician he despised, Senator Roscoe Conkling. When Roscoe's mother died, his father kicked him out. The boy found work at a local hotel, singing while he cleaned. That singing changed his life. A professional singer heard him and invited him to perform at a local talent show. The crowd hated his act. As the hook came out to pull him off stage, Roscoe panicked and dove into the orchestra pit. The audience roared with laughter. He'd found his calling. Soon Roscoe hit the vaudeville circuit, earning $3 a day. Mack Sennett's Keystone Studios spotted something special in him. Not just a big guy, but someone with perfect comedic timing. "I refuse to believe a battleship is funnier than a canoe," became his motto, refusing to make his size the punchline. At Keystone, he mentored new talent. In 1914, he discovered Buster Keaton and brought him into movies. Even Charlie Chaplin's famous baggy pants came from Roscoe. They were baggy because they used to be his. The famous opera singer Enrico Caruso heard him sing and begged him to quit comedy for opera. By 1921, no star shined brighter. Studios fought over him until Paramount won, offering him $3 million for 3 years. Roscoe lived like Hollywood royalty. His mansion had 20 rooms, gold-leaf bathtubs, and walls covered in oriental rugs. A fleet of luxury cars filled his garage, including a custom Pierce Arrow that cost $34,000, enough to buy several houses back then. He even owned a baseball team, the Vernon Tigers. His parties became legendary. Stars like Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks showed up regularly. Jazz played while bootleg liquor flowed freely. Remember, this was during Prohibition. The press loved him, kids adored him, and 7 of his films played in theaters at once. Money poured in faster than he could spend it. Paramount paid him $1,000 a day, plus 25% of all profits. Then came the deal that made history: $3 million for 3 years, complete control over his movies. No actor had ever earned that much. Even Charlie Chaplin's contract looked small in comparison. Raw talent made his so special. On screen, Roscoe moved like nobody else. He could somersault, dance, and pull off stunts that seemed impossible for his size. In one film, he balanced perfectly on one foot while throwing pies with deadly accuracy. Directors said he never needed more than one take. His timing was perfect every time. Off-screen, he earned a reputation as the nicest guy in Hollywood. He helped launch careers, shared his wealth, and treated everyone with respect. Unlike other stars who let fame go to their heads, Roscoe stayed humble. He hated when people called him fatty, always asking them politely to use his real name. Then Labor Day weekend 1921 arrived. Roscoe needed a break from his hectic schedule. He had 2 more films ready to release and was burned out from months of non-stop work. Despite having burns on both legs from a recent on-set accident, he decided to drive up to San Francisco with 2 friends. They checked into the St. Francis Hotel, the fanciest place in town. Roscoe booked 3 rooms, 1221 and 1223 for sleeping, and 1220 for partying. He had no way of knowing that room 1219 would soon become the most infamous hotel room in America. Labor Day arrived hot and sticky in San Francisco. Guests started showing up at Roscoe's suite early. Someone brought a Victrola for music. Bootleg gin and scotch arrived from a nearby grill. By noon, the party was in full swing. Around 12:30, Virginia Rapp joined the crowd. A 26-year-old actress and fashion designer, she wore a jade skirt and matching Panama hat. She'd met Roscoe before, they'd known each other for years. She drank orange blossoms and chatted with other guests. Then came 3 p.m. What happened next changed Hollywood forever. Screams came from room 1219. Guests found Virginia in pain, tearing at her clothes. Some thought she was just drunk. They put her in a cold bath, moved her to another room, and kept partying. Nobody called a doctor for 3 days. Virginia died on September 9th. The press exploded. Within hours, the story spun out of control. A woman named Bambina Maud Delmore told police Virginia's last words accused Roscoe of attack. William Randolph Hearst's newspapers ran wild. One day claimed Roscoe crushed her with his weight. The next said he used a piece of ice in an unspeakable way. Each story got bigger, wilder, more horrifying than the last. The truth? The medical examiner found no evidence of attack. Virginia had a chronic condition that alcohol made worse. She'd had similar episodes before, tearing at her clothes from the pain. But facts didn't matter anymore. The public wanted blood. They got it. Police arrested Roscoe for murder. Studios banned his films overnight. Theaters pulled his movies so fast you'd think they never existed. Movie houses in Wyoming reported cowboys shooting at his image on screen. His famous friends vanished. Studio heads warned actors not to defend him. It might hurt their careers. Only Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton stood by him publicly. Chaplin said he knew Roscoe as a genial, easygoing type who wouldn't harm a fly. For the next decade, Roscoe became a ghost in his own industry. Buster Keaton tried helping, giving him 35% of his company's profits. Roscoe started directing under his father's name, William Goodrich. The actress Louise Brooks worked with him years later. She said he was sweetly dead, after the scandal, just going through motions. The ban officially lasted 8 months. Unofficially, most theaters still wouldn't touch his films. The man who once commanded $3 million could barely pay rent. In 1932, Warner Brothers took a chance on Roscoe. They signed him for 6 short comedy films in Brooklyn. The public loved them. For the first time in a decade, people saw the real Roscoe again, funny, graceful, full of life. On June 28, 1933, he finished filming his last short, In the Dough. Warner Brothers called with amazing news. They wanted him for a feature film. That night, Roscoe celebrated his first wedding anniversary with his third wife, Addie. He told friends, "This is the best day of my life." He died in his sleep that night. He was 46. Most of Roscoe's films are lost now. Studios destroyed them, hoping people would forget. But his influence lived on. He inspired generations of comedians, from John Belushi to Chris Farley. Both wanted to make movies about his life. Both died before they could. If you loved this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more similar content.